So I just saw the crazy news that Nicholas Brendon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer died. And this is after the truly shocking death of Michelle Trachtenberg on 226 last year, which I have extensively decoded. Exhaustively, really. Now, two crazy things to know right off the bat for anyone not familiar with Brendon. He was born on the exact same day that Shannon Doherty was born on, April 12th, 1971, and he is a twin. His twin going by the name of Kelly Donovan. So they both have the Dawn in their names. And Donovan would occasionally stand in for Nicholas Brendon in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In fact, there was one episode called The Double where Brendon had basically a doppelganger of himself, and Donovan played the other version of him. A picture of the two together there. And it says he was born 3 minutes before his brother, Nicholas Brendon. Always got to have the 3 in the stories. Now, Brendon's character, Xander Harris, had his own episode, especially for him, called The Zeppo. And it aired on January 26th, 1999, that 126 number. It was season 3, episode 13, and the 47th episode of the series. Go figure, Trump the 47 president. And the title of the episode relates to Zeppo Marx, who many consider to be the least essential of the Marx brothers. And they say that Xander Harris was the least essential character in the show. But in this episode, he gets a chance to prove himself. And it's sort of ironic because I was actually working on doing a video about Groucho Marx, but that's going to come a little later. Now, in this episode, Xander gets caught up with this guy here who is in a gang, and he goes around to graveyards using magic to resurrect his friends, basically as zombies. Now, weird timing because Chuck Norris just died yesterday, the day before Brendon. Famous for many things, including Walker, Texas Ranger, which premiered on 4/21 in the year 93, Seattle Space Needle's opening date. It's also the year of the World Trade Center bombing on 226. Remember that Michelle Trachtenberg, Brendon's co-star on Buffy, died on 226. So this is the first of his friends that he revives as a zombie. So listen to this bit.
Let's roll.
How long have you been down?
8 months. I had to wait till the stars aligned.
Oh, 8 months. I got some catching up to do. Well, Walker, Texas Ranger. You been taping him?
Never yet.
All right. Where'd you get together?
So Chuck Norris just died, and this is the first Xander-centric episode, and the guy mentions Walker, Texas Ranger. I mean, what are the odds? And by the way, that's him laying on the ground there. Xander winds up crushing his head with the vending machine. Head wound. But of course, this guy already had a head wound before he was revived. As you can see, the bullet hole there. And I never watched that show, Walking Dead. I had absolutely zero interest in that garbage. But I have heard online that the guy here who plays this zombie, he was on that show, and he wound up getting a head wound in that show as well, basically getting his head beaten in. Now this scene here is from another Xander-centric episode called bewitched, bothered, and bewildered, or your BBB 222 Order Out of Chaos as Above, So Below number, in which Xander does a love spell that goes wrong. And listen to this.
Damn it, Xander, what's going on? Who died and made you Elvis?
Buffy's house. Let's get inside.
So, who died and made you Elvis? And this right here is from the same episode. Look right there. An Elvis statue, complete with guitar and a crown on his head. And by the way, this is season 2, episode 16, year 216, 8-4. Now, the girl who asked him who died and made you Elvis is played by Charisma Carpenter, your CC, and her last name just so happens to be Carpenter. And she played Cordelia Chase on the show, another CC for your 33, of course. And wouldn't you know, she was in the first Expendables movie. Chuck Norris was in the second Expendables movie. In fact, her character name from Buffy equals 319 in standard. And just Cordelia gives us our 67. Also our 149, JFK born on the 149th day of the year, our 127 numbers in Latin. In fact, with our actual name, the 127 number is in ordinal. We also have our 107. The 28th prime, and it connects to 142. The 142nd day of the year is 522, the Memphis founding date. And this show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, is the Gift Tower Sacrifice air date. And with the episode title, the Zeppo, check out the numbers. Our 111, our 48, that's the 77th composite, our 24, our 666. And by the way, Brendon's death comes 6 days after the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot was announced as being canceled on Pi Day, no less. And remember how Michelle Trachtenberg connects to Pi Day through the blood moon. So I already thought them announcing the cancellation on that date was incredibly odd and telling. And Buffy New Sunnydale, as it was called, equals our 217. Year of the Fire Horse, also our weapons number from the 8-8 Lionsgate portal date. Also that 80, which is the 57th composite. Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year, and the 80th composite is 110. Michelle's birth date, 10/11, 10 times 11 equals 110, and the Gift Tower Sacrifice episode on 5/22, and with season 5, episode 22, 5 times 22 is 110. 2 110s, one each for the World Trade Center towers. Now remember how Shannon Doherty and Nicholas Brendon were born on the same date? Well, going from Shannon's death and Trump's ear clip in Butler on 7/13/2024 to Chuck Norris's death is 614 days. Of course, Trump born on 6/14. Also 1 year, 8 months, 6 days. You're 1/8 with an 86. And 26 for the year 26. So 1 day off when you go to Brendon's death. But it is 1 year, 8 months, 7 days. And the 187th day of the year is 7/6. George Bush Jr. birth date. You're backwards 6/7. Now, if we go from Michelle Trachtenberg's death day on 2/26 last year to Nicholas Brendon's death, it's 1 year, 22 days. 122 is the 91st composite, and Elvis is currently 91 years of age. The 122nd day of the year is also May 2nd, Dwayne Johnson's birth date, and he is in Southland Tales, the incredibly coded film with Sarah Michelle Gellar, who played Buffy. But how interesting that it's also 387 days. Because if you go from the end of the year and go ahead 387 days, you land on January 22nd or 122. And you always want to use the end of the year, 12/31, when you do this, because it won't give you an accurate count if you go from the start of the year. January 1st is not the second day of the year, it's the first. And that's why you start on 12/31. Now, if we go from Michelle Trachtenberg's birth date to Brendon's death date, it's 14,770 days. 147 plus 70 is 217. Brendon died in the year of the fire horse, which started on 217. And this can also be 7 plus 7 is 14. So you'd have twin 14s here, just like Nicholas Brendon was a twin. And 14 plus 14 is 28, the perfect number. And 4 plus 1 is 5, and 4 plus 1 is 5 for your 55 Satan number. And how crazy is this? Because it's also a total of 2,110 weeks. Trachtenberg, all about the gift tower sacrifice episode. You know about the 110s associated with that episode by now. And 2 times 110, 220, which points to the 220th day of the year, 8/8, the Lionsgate portal date, and Michelle was the key to open the hell portal. Now, if you go from the season 2, episode 16 episode of Buffy, where Xander is compared to Elvis, to his death date, 10,265 days. This is a 102. The 102nd day of the year, both Brendon and Shannon Doherty's birth date, as well, of course, as Brendon's twin, Kelly Donovan. And 102 plus 65 is 167. 167 is the 39th prime number. Michelle Trachtenberg died at the age of 39. In fact, the 167th composite is 215. Seattle Slew's birth date. 28 years, 1 month, 10 days. 28 plus 1 plus 10 is 39. Again, Michelle died at 39. And it's also your 28 with your 110. And from that episode's air date to 6/11 this year, 28 years, 4 months, and 1 day. Michelle Trachtenberg was born on the 284th day of the year, which is 9 months, 11 days into the year. And you have a 4-1 with it. Remember what happened on 4/1/89, the Seattle Space Needle prank. Only this time it won't be a prank. And from season 2, episode 16, to 8/4/2026, the 216th day of the year, 10,402 days. 402 plus 10 is 412. Nicholas Brendon, born on 412. Shannon Doherty, born on 412. Shannon, born in Memphis, died on Trump's ear clip date. Nicholas Brendon, a twin. Both starred in shows on the WB. In fact, we have a 28 with a 525 here. Remember, Shannon Doherty's final date on 9/02/10 was 5/25 in the year 1994. Now consider this: February 8th plus 5 plus 25, and you land on 3/10. Chuck Norris, who just died, born on 3/10. And you saw how he connects to Brendon through the Zeppo episode, the guy mentioning Walker, Texas Ranger. And this can also be 28/5, as in 5/28, my birth date, also fictional character Donnie Darko's birth date, which relates to Trump with the 5/25. Both of them together. And by the way, going from Michelle Trachtenberg's death date to them announcing the cancellation before it even began of the new Buffy revamp on Pi Day 2026, the 1-year anniversary of the Blood Moon 17 days after Trachtenberg's death, 381 days. If you go from the end of the year and go forward 381 days, you land on January 16th, or you're backwards 611. And speaking of that, it's also exactly 1 year, 16 days, or you're backwards 611. Just like this is if you go from the end of the year ahead 381 days. And this 12 months, 16 days can be a few different things. Of course, you can drop the 1 as it's a reset number, and it's 216, your 8-4. Can also be your 121, May Day, Day of Pagan Sacrifice, is the 121st day of the year. Add 6 to that, and you land on May 7th. Seattle Slew died on May 7th, and it's the 127th day of the year, 5-7. And Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. You can also do 12 plus 16 and get your 28 perfect number, which connects to several things, to put it lightly. Or you can do 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 6 is 6, 2, 6, pointing to the year 2026, as almost every Trachtenberg code does. And over here we even get 54 weeks, 3 days, 54 plus 3 is 57, and Michelle died on the 57th day of the year. Are you kidding me? Now in Gematria, Nicholas Brendon equals 153, which is the 116th composite. You're backwards 611. The 153rd composite is also 200. The 200th day of the year is 719, Trump's reverse birth date. Also 72, which is the 51st composite, 5-1, May Day. 252, which is the 197th composite, again, 719, Trump's reverse birth date. Check out the prime, 1601. Your 611 numbers are your upside down 911 numbers. And the composite is 319. Chuck Norris died the day before Brendon on 319. 81, 81st day of the year is 322, Michelle Trachtenberg's reverse birth date. And 81 is the 58th composite. You know all about that 5-8 date, the 128th day of the year. And the 81st composite is your 111. And in standard, we have our 522, the huge gift tower sacrifice episode of Buffy, aired on 522. As far as I'm concerned, the most significant episode of the entire show. Also Memphis's founding date. And I threw in a few more ciphers just to check them out. We have our big 777 and our 58 again, which connects to our 81. He played Xander on the show, your 66 twin number. Brendon is a twin in real life. You're 33. Full name Xander Harris. You're 67. 185. Which is the 142nd composite. Again, the 142nd day of the year, 522. Our 77. Our big 111, 110 combination, which, if you say it like you do in most parts of the world, can be your Michelle Trachtenberg birth date, 10/11. Now, Brendon's brother has some pretty interesting numbers that relate to assassination, or at least supposed assassination attempts. That 150 in ordinal, the 150th composite is 195. Trump's ear clip was on the 195th day of the year. Shannon Doherty's death date. Donovan and Brendon both born the same exact day as Shannon Doherty. And continuing with the assassination theme, this 1340 in Latin is the 11/22nd composite, JFK assassination date 11/22/63. We also have our May Day here, pagan sacrifice. The 174th composite is 222. Your order out of chaos has above so below number. 57, Michelle Trachtenberg died on the 57th day of the year. Seattle Slew died on 5/7, the 127th day of the year. We have another 57 here. Drop the 0, and that is the 33rd composite. And by the way, remember Charisma Carpenter? Just the first name Charisma. Our 222 order out of chaos as above so below number in Latin, the hardest cipher to find matches in. We also get our 144. You know how important that number is. And by the way, I was mistaken earlier when I called the episode where Kelly Donovan plays Xander's doppelganger the double. It was actually the replacement. I misremembered the title. 145, the 145th day of the year, is 5/25. Shannon Doherty's final date on 9/02/10. And again, they were born the same day. 64, the Space Needle turns that age this year, and it's a huge number. 233, that connects to 5/1, the day of pagan sacrifice, as it's the 51st prime. And you know, it's been a while since I've shown why that 64 number is so big, so let's do it now. The 8th square, the 4th cube, your 8/4. The divisor sum up to your 127. It's the 45th composite, Trump the 45-47 president. The 64th prime is 311. 3 times 11 is 33. And the 64th composite is 88, your Trump portal infinity Lionsgate number. In fact, check out the pentagonal number, 611-2. So if it were backwards, 216, drop one of those ones. Our 712, 12-7. 7 times 12 is 84. Kelly Preston and Benjamin Keogh dead on that date. The 870 in Sumerian, which is the 7/19th composite. Again, 7/19, Trump's reverse birth date. And it's called the replacement, like Trump is the replacement twin. 59 in Chaldean, 59th day of the year is 228. 635, which is the 519th composite, which is the 421st composite, Seattle Space Needle opening date. And the episode where he's referred to as Elvis, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, Season 2, Episode 16. Wouldn't you know, in Chaldean, you don't see that too often. It's 11-6, or you're backwards, 6-11. We have our 145 again, 145th day of the year is 525. Shannon's final date on 9/02/10. 262. The 262nd day of the year is September 19th. Remember how important that date is for a variety of reasons. If you watched my video about the Strait of Hormuz, you know. And worth mentioning, by the way, that 145 is also the 1/10th composite. Michelle Trachtenberg and Shannon Doherty absolutely intertwined. And 161, aside from being our 611 and upside down 911 numbers, is the 123rd composite, 123, a murder code. In fact, the only other thing I've seen Nicholas Brendon in aside from Buffy is this film Coherence, which was first released on September 19th, 2013, but it didn't go into wider release until a year later. And wouldn't you know that this film has a twin theme as well as the theme of a comet. And what did we just have recently? A meteor, asteroid, comet, whatever it was, over Ohio, right before the death of Nicholas Brendon. On the night that Miller's comet passes Earth, 8 friends gather for a dinner party at the home of couple Mike and Lee. And let's just say that the comet sets off some crazy existential weirdness where people keep finding more and more doubles of themselves. So again, a doppelganger, twin-themed film. Miller's Comet equals 144. We've been seeing a lot of that number lately, haven't we? Also 180, 612, or your backwards 216, the 44 kill number. 864 in Sumerian is the 713th composite. Year 713, Trump ear clip, Shannon Doherty, death date. The title, Coherence, are 76, 33rd composite. 39th prime, Michelle Trachtenberg died at 39. The composite is 215, C.L. Slew's birth date. 199 Latin, check out the composite number, 254. 254th day of the year is 9/11. 27th composite, prime is 173. Its composite is 5/7. Again, Michelle Trachtenberg died on 5/7. The 57th day of the year, Seattle Slew died on 5/7. The 127th day of the year. And we have our 10/2 Donnie Darko prophecy date. From Coherence's festival premiere on 9/19/2013 to Brendon's death, 45-65 days. 45 plus 65 is your 110. Yet again, noticing a theme? And 4 plus 5 is 9. 6 plus 5 is 11. 9, 11. We also have our 126. Of course, that's Kobe Bryant's death date. Not that I really care much about him, but he is coded backwards 162. Drop the 1. And consider this December. 12 plus 6 plus 1 is 12/7. Our Pearl Harbor date again. Buildings 1, 2, and 7. 151, the 36th prime. Now this is where it gets even better, because it went into wider release on 6/20/2014. From that date to Brendon's death, 4291 days. Elvis died at the age of 42, and he is currently 91 years old. It's also 11 years and 9 months. You're backwards 9/11. 141 months. Remember, June 11th, World War III, Seattle Slew, etc. equal 141. And the 141st day of the year is when the Pearl Harbor film premiered, which, by the way, was the day right before the Memphis Tower Sacrifice episode of Buffy the Gift. Aired on Memphis's founding date. In 6/13 weeks, 6/13, the release of The Plague in the Stand by Charlie Campion, the Elvis fan. Taylor Swift apparently getting married on 6/13 this year. Although I don't know if that's going to actually happen. Now, if you include the end date, 4 times 2 times 9 times 2 is 144. We get that number yet again. But more importantly, 4 plus 2 is 6. 9 plus 2 is 11. 6, 11. 11 years, 9 months, 1 day. So not just your backwards 9/11, but now you're 9/11/01. And 141 plus 1 is 142. 142nd day of the year. Memphis founding date, The Gift air date. 6/13 weeks, 1 day. 6/13 plus 1 is 6/14. Trump's birth date. So yeah, all around, more loaded. And by the way, Emily Foxler, who plays the main lead character in Coherence, also equals 144. Again, that number popping up nonstop lately. And her name also equals 153, the 116th composite, you're backwards 6/11. Again, its composite is 200. 200th day of the year, 7/19, Trump's reverse birth date. And of course, no surprise here, it says that Kelly Donovan, the real-life identical twin brother of Nicholas Brendon, played one copy of Mike, when there were two of them in one scene. As I said, this film all about a comet passing by and creating many mirror realities, thus doppelgangers. And by the way, speaking of brothers, Chuck Norris's brother is named Aaron Norris. Like, Elvis Aaron Presley. No coincidence, I'm sure. And he actually directed many of Chuck Norris's movies. And wouldn't you know that Aaron Norris equals 142? Memphis's founding date, the gift, Tower sacrifice, air date. Again, I don't think it's a coincidence that his name is Aaron, like Elvis's middle name. Why else would he equal the 142nd day of the year, which is Memphis's founding date? Also 5/21 in Latin, again, the 141st day of the year, the Pearl Harbor film premiere date. And Chuck was born on 3/10, and that's the same day as that absolute loser Bad Bunny was born on. Well, how weird then, because in Buffy, Xander is in a relationship with Anya, who is deathly afraid of bunny rabbits. In fact, in season 6, episode 7, she even sings a song about it, as in that episode Xander accidentally unleashes a demon who causes everyone to break out in song. So it's basically a musical episode, and it's season 6, episode 7, the Elvis number. Of course, that episode would be a musical, since it's the Elvis number. But pretty crazy that there's the Walker, Texas Ranger mention in the Xander episode, the Zeppo, and that Norris had the same birth date as Bad Bunny, and Xander's character dated Anya, who is deathly afraid of bunnies, and she considers them all bad bunnies. And there's a lot more to this, but I'm tired right now, so I'm going to get to it later. All glory to God, and thank you for watching.